After doing so many interview videos, I think y'all know the drill. I asked a bunch of my community members what their hot takes were, and I've compiled what I believe are the spiciest ones, and I asked them to explain their opinions. I would love to hear y'all's DBD hot takes or opinions on whatever is said in this video. However, I expect you guys to keep it civil in the comments. Any rude people will be thrown into the stew and fed to Bubba.
I think 2v8 is fine as is.
Survivors shouldn't be able to give up on their first hook stage.
Anonymous mode, or players on anonymous mode, should have the endgame chat completely disabled.
Them adding the finisher Mori system was a mistake.
The game is not survivor-sided.
I believe add-ons are inherently unbalanced and unfair for both sides in a match.
Some of the broken mechanics and broken things introduced are with intent.
Plague is the worst design killer in this game.
Whenever someone says, I'm not responsible for your fun, it's just, they're being toxic.
I think this, because the way that it's been balanced was very well done. The fact that Behavior decided to implement a class system and not bring in all the perks from the regular game was a great idea. I don't think they should bring any changes, maybe add classes like people have been asking, but that's fine. As for the queue times, I think, and this is the hot spicy part of the take, the queue times are fine. And I think people are so used to getting things instantly, having that instant gratification, instant queue times, everything on their plate immediately. I think that they have lost the ability to have a bit of patience with the queue times. I can get that for content creation it's annoying, or like live streamers, but I see no issue in waiting, a quarter of an hour or half an hour for a match as killer in 2v8.
The main argument of people who quit matches is that they don't want to be forced to play something that they don't find fun, which, it's fair. We play all this for fun. However, by giving up early, they ruin the match for the other three players and potentially the killer as well. Because I've actually heard this argument from other killers before, that they just don't find a 3v1 fun because it's usually like 90% of the time a win for them, and yet they don't even have to try. So if they really don't want to play on their first hook, I think they should basically eat the DC penalty and just just disconnect and give us the bot at least. No one will force you to play. Just eat the DC penalty, give us the bot, and we can basically play a 4v1 with a bot, granted, but that's still a bit more fair than just playing a straight up 3v1.
I think this because it's a solution to the problem of anonymous mode players using it to just harass and cause problems for other players and use that anonymity as a shield instead of, being on their main account and taking responsibility for that. By removing the endgame chat from anonymous mode players, that doesn't hurt the people who are using it for what it's intended for anyways. Again, like I said, the people who are actually hiding from harassment or streaming, they're not going to be harmed by not being able to see or talk. Yeah, it's going to be a shame to not be able to say GGs or that was a fun game, good luck next. The people who are going to go in the endgame chat and say stuff like, oh, end your life, or oh, you're such a shit killer, or even do stuff in game, abuse exploits and hold people hostage. That is the only type of person that disabling endgame chat for anonymous mode players is going to hurt.
The game, since adding in the finisher Mori, the vibe of the game has changed. Before the finisher Mori, I felt that the games, people still obviously would slug for the 4K, and people would still try to get 4Ks. But I feel that a larger majority of games, and killers specifically, were willing to let the game just, end at a 3K. Whether that be that the last survivor gets hatched, or they let the last survivor escape. The games felt like they would kind of end at a 3K. The games now feel very rush, and killers are trying to go as fast as possible to get a 4K, and specifically get a 4K. Anything less than a 4K feels like a loss, I suppose, now. The finisher Mori has just now sort of really made it that killers are now guaranteed a 4K above on anything else. Like, they don't have to gamble a survivor wiggling off to get that last hook. They don't have to, like, they can now slug a third survivor to try to get the fourth survivor because now they're like, oh, well, I don't have to think about a hatch play anymore. I don't have to think about survivors trying to go for hatch at all because the hatch won't spawn until 3 survivors are dead. I know that when they were sort of talking about this, adding this into the game, there were a lot of skeptics and critics saying that behavior was looking for ways to potentially monetize the game more by selling custom Moris. And, you know, having a guaranteed Mori in the game sort of seems to follow along with that. But also, I think it just doesn't. Moris aren't special anymore.
I do play both sides. I mean, I am the Xenomorph Queen at the moment for a reason, and I do play both sides, and I hear every time that this game is survivor-sided, completely survivor-sided. Sometimes it's a little bit survivor-sided. Like, Swifts are seen as the strongest thing you can have. And when I play Killer, from time to time I see that too. But the thing is, I play exclusively Informant Swifts, exclusively. And still we escape like maybe 20% of our matches, and we have comms. We are good. Like, we are not perfect, definitely not, but we are good. Like, 2 people we often play with are fantastic even. Still, we keep on losing. And I know the game is not exactly killer-sided or survivor-sided, though I know killers are designed to win more often than survivors do. If it were survivor-sided, it would be so unfair to have 4 people versus 1. Whenever I play killer, I don't really struggle. Just now, before I joined this interview, I had a match as the Wraith against the Bully Squad. And I mean, like, the actual term Bully Squad was fitting. They had the entire build for it, and they were teabagging and everything. I still won with the Wraith, who I played like once for 2v8. Without even all generators popping, and they did also do generators on the side. I don't see it. I know that it's survivor-sided. If you have like one of these rare hard comp survivor squads who go like, he's on 8, no, he's now on 6, he's on me in 11, I don't know. Yes, then you have no chance, because those are competitive gamers, which are super rare to face. I have yet to ever face them. Usually when I lose as killer, it's entirely a skill issue on my side. But never because survivor's overpowered.
So, what I've noticed a lot with like add-ons for both survivors and killers is that the way they work is they often act as like just like a straight buff or just like a slight number increase to whatever. Like, I don't know, plus 10 so and so, or plus 1 this and that. You know, in an online game, you know, keeping things balanced is, you know, very important. I find it personally a bit weird that someone could just like, they just have the option of getting like just like a direct increase to their base kit at like seemingly not much cost. It's a bit different from like survivors bringing items or like, you know, having perks, because, you know, those are designed differently, and I don't want to open that kind of worms. I want to just focus on add-ons. A lot of add-ons, they don't really emphasize like different play styles like perks do. They're more just like slight number upgrades or whatever. So an idea that I had, so you know how there are like you know, there's 2 add-on slots, right? Random idea that I had is what if like the first slot you could choose like I don't know, like a benefit, like, you know, like something which is like a regular add-on, like, you know, like a positive thing, like a slight increase in whatever. But then the second add-on had to be like a downside to sort of like balance it out. For me personally, add-ons come off as a bit too much like straight upgrades, when I think they should be more like side grades. Like, they're not inherently better or worse, but they sort of like they just give a different sort of play style.
Yeah, I think that behavior does right now actually make broken things because they want to engage the older players more. So that will be they introduce new chapters for newer players and new broken mechanics for the older player base, so that that way they keep people engaged and playing the game. I think at the beginning it was just mistakes, like they figuring out like the whole balancing thing situation, but with time they figured out that people started to make videos about it and people engaged more with the game once they introduced broken things, right? Which means, in my opinion at least, older player base, or like people that have been playing for a while, they do it for the people that have been playing for a while. When we're looking at different metas or like different things that they introduce, the Thrill of the Hunt meta, right? Where they just buffed the perk for a while, and everybody was running Plaything with Pentimento and all of that. That was a short kind of meta, right? They tweaked the numbers again, if I remember correctly. But in that time, a lot of YouTubers made a lot of content. A lot of people went and tried the meta, or like the broken thing, right? Even though it was removed after that. So it was like a short spike of engagement, and then it went right back.
So it's kind of that it requires comms, like a lot of comms. If you don't cleanse, you're playing against Noed. People hate playing against Noed. If you do cleanse, you're screwing over your team. But then you're supposed to cleanse all at the same time to force her power and then hide. But then if you don't cleanse, you play against Noed, but then you also can't heal, which invalidates a whole build. And then you can't play stealthy, which invalidates a whole extra build. And then if she takes 4 gen slowdowns, you can't play that build, so you got the run build. But then if you do cleanse, it invalidates that because she doesn't like a Huntress Hatchet or like a Death Slinger that require a good shot. She just kind of does one of those. And you just flail your mouse and you get a cone of damage. She's got a little too much. I think she needs to be tweaked, especially because if I go down to just the M1, lo and behold, she can just vomit on me, or my buddy can come up and touch me while I'm hooked, and I get infected of no fault of my own. I think there's a little tweaking that needs to be done. Just something small.
Like a few years ago, I was watching this streamer, and he did Basement Bubba month, and he usually just kill like one person by camping them. This was like before anti-camp. So then they'd get mad, and he'd say, "I'm not responsible for your fun," and it's like, well, I guess that's kind of true, but I think it's just a way to maintain like plausible deniability that you're not toxic, because you can completely ruin someone's game and you can like get out of free. It's like a get out of jail free card, because it's like, oh well, that's technically true, but it's usually after you did something to make the game like completely unfun for the other side. And I think that I'm not responsible for your fun is kind of like not true in a way, because I mean, I suppose it is true in a way, but I think that you should care. You're not obligated to, but just treating the other side with decency is just going to make a better experience overall. And every game in the world benefits from good sportsmanship, so.
I'd like to thank my interviewees for participating in this very fun interview. If y'all would like to participate in these types of videos, you should join the Discord. These videos are funded by my awesome Ko-Fi supporters, so I'd like to personally thank Souza, Fluffy, Herpington, Fajitas42, Taxifern, Obashi, Hammock, Nelson, Katz, Ulrun, Itza, Alibi, Taz, and Leo. If you guys want to see behind-the-scenes stuff, get early access to videos, or see general life updates from me, you should check out my Ko-Fi. I will see you wonderful people next Saturday.